Hebrew brothers and sisters, welcome back. And let me say Shabbat Shalom. I hope you're enjoying your Shabbat. Today we want to spend a little time and do a little meditation. And I trust that this meditation will be a blessing to each of us. We're going to be looking at 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 13 through 16. And we're going to entitle this meditation as, the title is Holiness to YAHUAH. And this will be the Sabbath meditation. Peter said, "Wherefore gird up your loins and of your minds, and be sober, and hope to the end, for the grace that is to be brought unto you at the revelation of Yeshua HaMashiach, as obedient children, not to the fashioning yourselves according to the former lust of your ignorance, but as he which hath called you is holy, so be holy in all manner of conversation." In verse 16 it said, "Because it is written, be holy, for I am holy." This passage, my brothers and my sisters, called all Hebrew Israelites, all Hebrew Israelite, all awakened Hebrew Israelite. He calls us to live a life of holiness. Holy living means that the Hebrew Israelite lives a life that is set apart, my brothers and my sisters. Set apart life. Reserved to honor and to give glory to YAHUAH or Elohim. It is a life of discipline, is focus, my brothers and my sisters, and an attention to important and significant matters of righteousness. In Numbers chapter 15, verses 37 through 40, that YAHUAH spoke to Moshe, instructing him to tell the Hebrew Israelite to make fringes or tassels. The Hebrew word for that is tzitzit, and to put them on the corner of the garments and to help them to remember all the commandments of the Torah. Okay? All the commandments, to help them to remember the commandments of YAHUAH. Okay? And to keep them. Now, why I said this, my brothers and my sisters, and when I read this passage here, is to bring to our attention some of the things that we're seeing and hearing among so-called, quote-unquote, Hebrew Israelites. There are some of the Hebrew Israelite people, that's what they claim to be, and they are basically ignorant in the way they do things, the way they say things. Okay. I remember, when I live in LA, I used to go up to a Walmart store, which was right up Crenshaw and Martin Luther King, right almost at the corner there. There's a cross light there, and it was pretty well known area for dark-skinned people, for, if you want to say, use the word, black people, which, we talk about our people. A few other races of people living in there too, in that area. But I remember seeing and the TV, the group of people, they call themselves Hebrew Israelite. And so they always, have someone reading the scripture, and one different groups in a group of, different ones would read the scripture. One would be the one who announces and talk and try to interpret and so on and so on. But I noticed something among those people. The way they dress. Okay? Many of them dress with like a Roman soldiers. Different kind of garments, different colors. I guess it is hierarchical according to the standard. They have different colors, and so but when people come by and I see people standing, and I experienced that myself because I passed by and saw them, and I purposely wanted to go by to see what was going on. If what I saw on the television and on the videos, if it was really true. So I went by and stood up there. But then they talk and they come, and my brothers, my sisters, let me say, these people seem like they're armed for battle. Because if you do not subscribe to their belief and their teaching and their practices, then what they do, they threaten you and they curse, profanity. So they have one hand is holding the Bible, okay? One hand is holding the Bible. And the mouth is filthy. And they call themselves Hebrew Israelites. Okay, now. They have a belief that based on where you're from, they said if you were born in the United States, then you're Judah. If you were born in the Caribbean, like in Jamaica, you were Benjamin. And if you were born in the other islands, and Puerto Rico and different places, they give you different tribal, names and say what descendants you come from. Well, I've spoken to a couple of them individually, and I try to share with them that it is not easy to tell where people from different islands or different part of the world, what tribe they came from, due to the fact that when the Israelite people, the Hebrew Israelites, were brought here from West Africa, we know, because I have proof to show based on my ancestors and my great-grandmother, is that we came from West Africa by way of Israel, Israel to West Africa, all right? And so they came from the Asante, which is referred to as the Ashanti tribe. We know that the Ashanti tribe was basically people of Judah, from the Judah tribe. And they were a mixture with Benjamin. And how we know that is that the southern tribe, the southern kingdom of Israel, when they were taken into Babylon, they later were placed in different places, like in what we call the Levant now, okay, and so Iran, which was the Medes and the Persia. We know that. Okay, and so they were the ones that were given after 70 years, came back into Israel. Now, it was not all of them. Some of them came back into Israel to build the wall, okay, that was torn down. And so it is not easy to tell whether these people that were brought to the West, were brought to Jamaica and to the United States and to the other Caribbean islands, whether they were just Hebrew Israelite that came from Judah and from Benjamin. We know that the two tribes, they were Southern Kingdom, and they were intermarriage, and they're mixed up. Okay? So the other 10 tribes that were taken into captivity almost 600 to 700 years before, prior to that time, they were scattered in different parts of the world. Some, we know that some, based on some history, that some came to the Americas, some came to the Caribbean islands. You know, they were scattered in different places. Some of them were running away, right? Some were placed in different countries based on where the leaders were, you know, ruling, and they have dominion in different places. So they scattered them in different places. They didn't stay. So it kind of, one of the things where they lost the culture and the belonging, okay? And this is why Yeshua said he came but to the tribes of the lost house of Israel. So, okay? So we know that Yeshua, he came for those people because they were lost. They, you know, they have no shepherd, okay? All right. Now, so you cannot tell directly that this person, unless you have proof of, you know, family relationship and the practices and so on. Okay, so you can number them up. We know that the Hebrew Israelite people were brought here. Some were left in the Caribbean, some were left in Puerto Rico, and some of the same family members were brought to the United States. And this is the reason why you look at some of the people, and they look alike. They're identical, you know, with their looks. Okay, we know that the practices, the accent are different because of different places. Now, the same Hebrew people, the so-called Hebrew Israelite, they're going around and causing confusion because they make other people feel that we are them. When we say we're Hebrew Israelite, we are not them. We're different from them. We stand with the word. There are some of us who are teaching the word, and we stand firm on the word. We are not racist. Okay? We don't run around cursing and living unholy lives. We don't condemn other people. And we see where one of the YouTuber is a pastor who some people believe that is controversial. The only difference with him and others is that, you know, he teaches the word, okay, but he believes, I don't think his services on Shabbat. I think his services on Sunday. Well, a group of so-called Hebrew Israelites went to his campus, okay, and marched long line and tried to get him to come out. He was having service, wanted him to come out, and the more they were cursing and carrying on and condemning and so on. My brothers and my sisters, we don't do that. We are not called for that. We are not called for that. The belief of Hebraism, my brothers and my sisters, is in its entirety, is implicitly based on Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It traces the fact that the call of YAHUAH to his people, to his own people of his own choice. He led them into Egypt to protect them from famine, and he brought them out of Egypt from the land of bondage and put them into the land of promise. And so he requires, my brothers and my sisters, that we live holy. He said, be ye holy, for it is written, I am holy. This is the life that we are to live as his people. My time is run out, my brothers and my sisters. But I trust you'll continue to enjoy your Shabbat. And I pray that you'll be a blessing to someone today and walk with the King. Shalom.